Hey, Adam,
Jeez,
one
why,
thing.
why do you think they called bumpers scary?
I don't know.
Because they come at the beginning, at the end, like bumpers.
Alex, you're a marketing guy. Do you like that design behind Paul? Does that sweet logo thing look pretty cool to you?
Hey, I forgot to hit the record button.
Yeah, that's really professional, isn't it?
Well, this is a professional podcast.
I met her in a parking lot and was handed two little Yorkies. And the only person I knew that knew Yorkies was Paul. So I called Paul and said, Paul.
Sweet Talk is a weekly 20-minute podcast brought to you by the Continuing Education and Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. Find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and SoundCloud and subscribe today. Now it's time to get started with Sweet Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sweet Talk, our weekly podcast here at Idaho State University's Continuing Education and Workforce Training. My name is Paul Dickey. I'm the apprenticeship coordinator here at Sweet. And as always, joining me today is Raylan Price, our interim director. Raylan, how are you doing today?
I am doing excellent. It's a wonderful Friday. We have sunshine coming in the window. It's brisk outside, but it's a great day. We also have with us Angie Wilhelm. Hello, Angie.
I hope everyone is doing well. This is the beginning of January, so we all work at a university. Next week, students will start up. So we are about to hear the rumbling of a full campus. For those of you who are not listeners of us on the normal everyday, we typically have series on this podcast where we talk to everybody from students to faculty, resources on campus, community engagement, etc. Today, we have with us Daryl Monson. Daryl is a custodian here at ISU, and he will be the first in a series we will have upcoming about the behind the scenes employees and staff at Idaho State University. Welcome to our podcast, Daryl. Can you take a moment to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you for having me here. Daryl Monson. I originally from California, and God bless California going on right now with the fires happening down there. I wasn't from the southern area, but grew up in Northern California. Moved to Utah. That's where I spent most of my years. Graduated from Utah, or from Ben Lomond High School there in Ogden, Utah, and spent some time down in southern Utah, down in St. George, down in the warm weather.
Oh, nice.
And that's where I met my wife, and we've been together for about 27 years. Got two grown children, and living life right here in Pocatello.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, Daryl, how long have you been working in custodial?
Custodial, I've been here for 3 months.
3 months.
Mhm.
What brought you to the university for the position?
Sure. Well, it's kind of a threefold thing that I call it. I've got some ties to the university. My wife works here as well. She's been a member of the staff down in the financial aid department for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Now, so I've got ties there. Also, I am a graduate of this university. I graduated back in 2020 with a master's degree in health education. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, so and I love this community. This is where I raised my children, and my kids went to school here. My daughter graduated here with her master's degree in dietetics. And my son graduated from here with his associates in university studies. So I've got quite a few ties here.
You're a Bengal, true.
I am a Bengal.
Excellent. So were you retired and you took the custodial position?
No, I wasn't retired. We done some moving around. I worked for Walmart when I got out of college. I worked for Walmart for about 11 years, working in their loss prevention and safety department. And that took me where I was. That was when I was down in southern Utah, and I transferred to Indiana to open up a new distribution center there and set up the safety and loss prevention department there. Spent about 2 years out there, and my father got very sick living out here. And my wife's mother also had double hip replacement surgery.
Oh my goodness.
And so we decided to come back to this area. Hadn't planned on originally staying in Pocatello. I'd planned on going back home to Ogden. And it's a little closer to my family. It's kind of in between her. She's over in Burley, the wife's family
Oh,
in Burley. So it would kind of put us right in the middle, but we landed here in Pocatello and we never left. So here we are.
Now, so I have a question.
Sure.
Why did you choose to be a custodian at ISU? Like, what was it that drew you to this position? I can tell you, I was a custodian through high
Sure.
school and college, and it was one of my very favorite jobs I've ever had.
Sure. I absolutely. When we moved out here in 08, it was during the housing crisis,
Hmm.
and employment was very, very non-existent. It took me almost 6 months to find work, and that was working in the ER at the hospital, working in custodial, cleaning up the ER. That was quite of an experience in itself. But following that, I worked as a CNA. I went and got my CNA license. And I worked as a CNA as a psychiatric technician for about 6 years and absolutely loved it. And there was still an aspect of cleanup with that. I've applied a number of times to positions at ISU and just hadn't had any luck. And I thought maybe, coming in as a custodian might, help me move along in that area. Kind of get your foot in the door and explore a few things and see what's going on. And so far, I've just enjoyed the job so much that, any pursuit at this point, I really don't have any. So I just enjoy being a custodian.
I have been impressed just watching you these past few months, just your attention to detail and your work ethic is impeccable. And so any job that you were to get at ISU they would be so lucky to have you. But now we are lucky to have you here because you do such a great job keeping our office and our spaces so nice for the public and for us personally. So
well, I appreciate that. And I do enjoy what I do, and I do enjoy taking care of others.
Yeah.
There's quite a sense of peace that comes with that. So
now I have another question going into this because you do have that health background as well.
Sure.
I firmly believe, I think statistics and history will back me up, that our custodial staff here at the university and throughout any nation really is one of our first lines of defenses against communicable diseases and viruses. Can you talk, and of course, we all see that when COVID happened as well. Can you talk a little bit about like what's in your realm that people may not quite understand that helps with preventing the spread of germs?
Sure. I think like at the tables in the cafeteria, I don't think a lot of people understand, where the germs are, period. I don't think people understand, where they can be at. I think they have a general, understanding of it, but when you get down to it, inside microwaves and on tables, the bathrooms are extremely important to, if fighting that disease. And the big one I think is drinking fountains. We especially with, the kind of drinking fountains that are here with, the dispensers on them, we don't know where the rim of your lid has been, and you put it up against that water machine and something can spread. So I don't think everyone kind of understands, exactly where they come from.
Oh, for sure. Door handles, you know what I mean?
They're everywhere.
Yes.
They're definitely everywhere. And, I just don't think we give it a second thought anymore, especially after COVID. I think, we went through so much trauma with COVID that the experience, with it now is, I think people just want to kind of forget about it. And just move on and get back to normalcy. Well, and of course, germs aren't, a huge bad thing. We need germs to, I mean, if we didn't have them, we wouldn't understand, being healthy. So it's cutting them down, but at the same time, we have to respect germs for what they can do for us.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
So, Daryl, you must have a kind of a different type of work schedule. I mean, you kind of start later in the afternoon/evening, correct?
Yes, yeah. We start at 4 p.m. There's other shifts. There are a few people who are on day shift in other buildings. And there is also a graveyard shift that works the library and works over at the gym. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
So I had a nighttime job when I was younger, and I found that to be very difficult because your schedule is always off from your family, and also
yes.
it drastically affects your sleep schedule as well. Do you find that issue as well?
I'm still struggling with that, even after 3 months. I've worked all kinds of shifts, but for some reason, this one I'm having the hardest time with. And just being away from the wife at night. The kids are grown and gone. Well, sort of. I've still got one at home. She's working off her student loans. So, but just the missing the wife at night is the tough one because she works during the day and I work during the night, and it makes it a challenge. But we make it work on the weekends. We know that time's our time. So it is an adjustment. It is definitely an adjustment when you're here till midnight, and you're sometimes in areas where you're by yourself and you can spook yourself sometimes.
I was
Oh, yeah.
about that. In fact, there's a podcast. It's Tales from the Janitor,
Oh,
or the late night janitor, and it sounds like there might be some of those kind of tales on that podcast. So, what kind of tales do you have,
oh my goodness. I've heard the stories of Frank.
Frank? Yes.
Right?
I have not experienced Frank yet. I think I've experienced myself more than anything. I just spook
Yeah.
myself, and being in sometimes peculiar places. So, but I haven't.
Candy lab full of creepy mannequins.
Oh, creepy mannequins, the basement. Yes. That, and you know what? That's one of my primary areas. So I kind of stare at them sometimes, just to see if something would happen.
If they might move a little
They
bit.
might move or something. Not that I'm superstitious or anything, but stranger things can happen. So
Sure.
I always take a few seconds just to stare.
Yeah.
Call lights
No,
ever go off?
What's that?
The call lights ever go off? We used to have
I've never experienced that yet. I've
you
never
could put them
experienced
in
that.
the mannequin's hands, and of course, I don't think they would ever go off. But if they do, you might know that Frank might be there with you.
Frank might
Yeah.
be there with me. Exactly. So I'm just worried that I'm going to start talking back to him. When that happens, I'll know that there's a serious problem.
I love it. I love it.
So when you started working at the university, was it what kind of transition from your previous? You said that you were working some custodial in your previous job at the emergency room as a CNA. You were doing some custodial stuff, but what kind of transition was it once you started working at the university?
Well, prior to that, I worked for a company called Night Owl. I don't know if I can give a shout out to Night Owl, but they're a great company. They're a local company here. Great people. I worked for them for about a year, and what we did was we just traveled around to different businesses, and we just cleaned the business through the night. Very enjoyable job, very relaxing. I worked by myself. My coworkers were fantastic. They were just great. I had none. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just go around to the different buildings. You clean them up. I worked from probably about 5 at night to sometimes 10, 11 at night, depending on the season. In the wintertime, it definitely took a bit longer to reach your goal. So the only downfall with it was it provided no benefits. And the university provides great, outstanding benefits with both the healthcare, with the medical, the dental, and the tuition reduction. is
Mhm.
amazing. In case I decide to go and get my PhD done.
Your PhD now. If you
No.
did get a PhD, what would you want to get your PhD?
I would study education. I would definitely get my
Mhm.
PhD in educational leadership. That's
Nice.
where I love to get in a position or a role where I was advising or mentoring students, going down that direction. That's where my strength is, and I've always enjoyed it. So
No,
that's the direction I'd go.
this actually brings me right into another question. I kind of went the route you did as well. I got into a job at the university because I knew this is where I wanted to be, and then
Absolutely.
bide my time until I found the position here. I loved my previous position, but this position within the university just fit my background in education a little bit better.
Sure.
The university itself does have, you can meet connections and grow your education. We have great healthcare and retirement, etc. But you'd brought up the tuition reduction, and I think that is a benefit that is phenomenal. And I have not heard about it at any other university. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Sure,
Mhm.
sure. With that tuition reduction, I believe it drops for undergraduates down, I believe, $5 a credit.
Mhm.
And I think for graduate school, I think it's like $15 a credit. And there's a couple of small fees on top of that, but it slashes it down to unbelievable, below a third, below a fourth of what you would normally pay. And it's a great benefit. I know there's a lot of people that work in janitorial who are taking advantage of that, of that, that great tuition discount. I have the tuition discount through my wife, but what this did was it opened up, working with the university, it opened up for me more opportunities to pursue other schools as well within Idaho. I think if your spouse works or something like that, I believe you do get the tuition reduction, but your classes are all through ISU, and being an employee, being a staff opens that up to where you can, look at doing like the College of Eastern Idaho or up at Lewis and Clark or something like that.
That's
We can do
interesting.
courses online, or the University of Idaho, any state university in Idaho. I'm not sure that Boise State is a participant of that, but something I've definitely looked into, in case, the opportunity wasn't there through ISU. That's my first go-to, but in case the opportunity might not be there, it's nice to have the opportunities to look at maybe the University of Idaho to complete that PhD program.
Nice.
And I believe that the tuition for spouses and children is 50% off.
Yes, it
Where
is.
it's- where-
Yes.
Actually, spouses, it's $5 a credit also.
Oh, it is
Yeah, it
$5
is.
a
It
credit
is.
also.
That
Oh,
is
wow.
correct.
Well, and then
that was-
children can go cheaper as well.
That was
so
a
it's
blessing
fantastic.
too. Yes, that was a blessing with our children, as we were able to send them here to ISU and support this great school, with that reduction in tuition.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
So, Daryl, what was part of when you started this position, what was one of the larger challenges when you started?
I think it's just it's kind of a ongoing challenge, and I think people have to be a little bit forgiving, but we do have some downtime. We do have downtime. I think any job has downtime. I think you're going to find yourself in a position where, you know what, this task is finished, and I'm in a situation where, we have people coming in and out of the building all day. We watched the class go on last night with CPR. They were here till 11:30 last night. It was incredible.
Wow.
I'd never seen that before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were here up till 11:30 last night. And, so it kind of puts a little damper on what we can do. It's very difficult to run a vacuum. It's very difficult to run a carpet cleaning machine, rattling equipment or in and out of the janitor's closet. We're down the hall here, where it was at, right next to the cafeteria where the class was at. It made it very difficult. So, there's just
Shut those doors. If it happens again, I give you permission. Shut the doors.
Well, I appreciate that. We just, we try to be as courteous and respectful as we can.
Okay.
We don't want to go barging into offices and say, "Hey, we're here to clean, so move out." So there's definitely some downtime, and if people see us sitting around sometimes, be a little forgiving. That's just like any other job with downtime. And we don't have a specific office or a chair that we can go, sit behind
Take
and
your break, huh?
take a break
Excuse
on
me.
or anything
Feel
like
free to use the table in my office.
Or,
I appreciate that.
or our conference table.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you.
So,
I thank you.
so I've been in this building for a long time, and I've seen the crews change over time, and I've never had an issue or a question. I've never
Good.
said, "Hey, why are they?" Because I know 1 minute might be sitting at the table, next minute you guys are off and running and doing all
Exactly.
kinds of things. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and I've always been aware that anytime I've ever had a request or needed some help, the custodial staff have always been right on top of it and so
Awesome.
courteous and kind.
Awesome.
And I've always appreciated them. I mean, I think the only person that has stuck around for like the longest time is Travis.
Travis has been here for forever. He's I call him a fixture.
A
Oh, yeah.
He's just a fixture here.
I've seen a rotation of them, but Travis seems to be the one that's always around.
Yes, Travis is always and Travis has been great. He has been so supportive, and I've been very blessed to have him as a supervisor. He's very understanding. He listens, and when you need something, he's right there for you. So he knows how to do it. That's for sure. So I'm very, very happy with him as a supervisor.
Well, very
Excellent.
But I
We're
think-
actually running out of time, but
Uh-oh.
as we wrap up,
Sure.
I would just like to say we have such a great relationship with our custodial staff, as both Paul and Raylan had pointed out.
Absolutely.
And some of my favorite times of the day is you guys come in, right, as we're winding up our day and getting ready to leave, right? We start winding up, we leave at 5, so by 4, we're getting our last projects out. And it's so nice after that long day to have someone come into your office and just take a short little break, see how they're doing, ask how their weekend was, right? It's
Absolutely. I enjoy that. I enjoy the camaraderie. I enjoy getting to know everybody. And that's just part of building relationships. And even though you're a custodian and you don't get that opportunity a lot, it's nice to be able to build those relationships with other people. I've really enjoyed it. So
I think it's really important to appreciate, what goes on behind the scenes that really makes us successful. And it takes every single person and every responsibility to fulfill the mission that we have here. Because without one thing, if you took away custodial services, where would we be?
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I can't disagree with you at all.
Right. So
Sometimes it's the last line of defense.
exactly.
and exactly. And even on that, I had a surgery earlier this year and I'm back to work, but I was not afraid. I'm so afraid going out that I'm going to get sick right after surgery or as I come back to work. I was not afraid of that coming back to work. I
That's
knew we
good.
had accessible buildings. I knew our custodial staff
That's
was
fantastic.
on top of it. So I knew I could come back to work even post-surgery for the next few months as I start walking again without the fear that it's, there's too many germs here. I know it's safe for me to come back to work without getting sick on top of being
Oh, that's
injured.
good. That's good to hear. And I hope everyone feels that way. We do work hard to try to keep things up to par and, keep the germs away. Not all of them. Some of them are good, but we want people to feel safe. I think safety is one of the most important things anybody could feel. And, we want people to feel safe at work.
Right.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, Daryl. Really appreciate your time and everything that you do. Thank you again so much.
Yeah,
And,
no problem. Anytime.
Excellent. Angie, thank you once again for always setting this up. I appreciate everything you do behind the scenes. And Raylan, thank you for all your contributions to the podcast. Now, If someone wants to find out our offerings, they can visit our website at cetrain.isu.edu or email us at cetrain@isu.edu. Also, you can give us a call at 208-282-3372. And please remember, this podcast is the way that we outreach to our community and provide community information and information about the university. So if you like this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, be safe out there.